Hello everyone. We are assigned to report about Mexico GMO corn dispute or genetically modified organism corn. So ano ba ang GMO corn? Corn is the most commonly grown crop in the United States and most of it is GMO. Most GMO corn is created to resist insect pests or tolerate herbicides. Bacillus thuringiensis or BT corn is a GMO corn that produces proteins that are toxic to certain insect pests but not to humans, pets, livestock, or other animals. These are the same types of proteins that organic farmers use to control insect pests, and they do not harm beneficial insects such as ladybugs. GMO BT corn reduces the need for spraying insecticides while still preventing insect damage. While a lot of GMO corn goes into processed foods and drinks, most of it is used to livestock like cows and poultry like chickens. Today, corn is central to Mexico's cultural identity. It's not a stretch to think of it as the source of life because corn is critical to food security and political stability. As we wrote in this previous article on corn in Mexico, the crop's spiritual and social importance contrasts deeply with genetically modified corn's commodification, degradation, and devaluation. In history, the current dispute Mexico and United States over generally modified corn has much deeper roots than the presidential decree that sparked it. Opposition to GMO crops in Mexico has been simmering for 20 years, stemming from fears that ancient landrace corn varieties vital to the country's social, cultural, and economic well-being would be lost. What is the issues and controversies? Mexican President Lopez Obrador issued a decree late last year that would ban use of both glyphosate and GMO corn for human consumption by 2024, and there's still a lot of uncertainty as to whether the GMO ban would also apply to livestock feed. In late 2020, when Mexican President Lopez Obrador mandated the phase out of GMO corn by 2024, he was in part fulfilling a campaign promise to those opponents. The president vowed to replace GMO corn with sustainable and culturally appropriate alternatives. But the decree, which also would ban the use of the controversial weed killer glyphosate, alarmed United States farmers who grow mainly GMO corn and sell much of it to Mexico. They and their allies in Congress urged the Biden administration to hold Mexico accountable under the agreement of United States, Mexico, and Canada. Angus Kelly said, the Director of Public Policy, Trade and Biotechnology for the National Corn Growers Association, he said that they have no opinion on how Mexico regulates its own farming. But if you sign up to a trade deal, then you're getting into the business of deciding what the producers can produce in the other country that you want to buy.
Mexico argues that genetically modified seeds are the threat to its own ancient native corn varieties. Mexico is the second largest importer of corn in the world after China, and much of the corn it buys comes from the United States. Banning GM corn was one of the Mexican president's campaign promises. Earlier this month, he insisted Mexico was a sovereign free country and that we do not want GM. Supporters of the plan says genetically modified seeds could contaminate Mexico age-old native variety. and point to research showing adverse effect of glyphosate. Under the new rules, Mexico will revoke permits and stop issuing new ones for the release of GMO corn seeds for grower use. Mexico has always had a policy against GMO seeds for human consumption, but about 30 import permits a year were granted for experimental purposes. The United States threatened legal action against Mexico's plan to ban imports of genetically modified corn in 2024, saying it would cause huge economic losses and significantly impact bilateral trade. Mexico's ban will undoubtedly impact American farmers and who grow GMO corn, and many of them are encouraging the U.S. government to intervene. The consequences have been severe for farmers. Contamination can result in significant economic losses for farmers who face rejection from GMO-free export markets. Organic farmers who are contaminated may lose their organic certification as well as the premium they receive for the organic crop. Mexico is one of the biggest buyers of U.S. corn, with American farmers sending about 17 million tons of most GMO yellow corn to Mexico annually, the majority of which is used for animal feed or industrial purposes. While Mexican farmers grow white corn for human consumption domestically, different varieties of corn can cross-pollinate. The result is a well-documented history of GMO contamination in native corn varieties grown in Mexico. U.S. farm lobbies contend the ban will cause billions of dollars of economic damage to both countries and have urged Washington to dispute it under the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement Trade Fact. As I said earlier, it would cause huge economic losses and significantly impact bilateral trade.
The policy also the policy also prohibits the use of glyphosate, a chemical fertilizer which is falling out of favor in international agriculture due to health concerns, citing health risks to humans, his preference for self-sufficiency and food sovereignty and cultural appropriateness. Glyphosate is a broad-spectrum systemic herbicide and crops desiccant. Now, local farmers worry about the possible health hazard of GMO or genetically modified corn on the human. Mexico's import ban would cause both massive economic losses for Mexico's agricultural industries and citizens, as well as place an unjustified burden on US. So if the ban continues, Mexico and US will experience bad effect on it. And last is, it threatens maize biodiversity and contribute for economic instability in Mexico, as well as cultural shift in Mexican. For Mexican, maize is the representation of their history, symbol of the country, cultural values, and food traditions. The effect of GMOs on biodiversity is another area of controversy. Genetically modified varieties and these varieties are used more and more. The natural genetic diversity of the organism is likely to be lost. That's all our report. Thank you.